Spectacular mid-October afternoon in our nation's capital greeted the best of MLS 2000. Through the league's history, there had been one constant at the title game, DC United. In 2000, the three-time MLS champs were nowhere to be found on their home field. Instead, MLS Cup weekend in Washington, D.C. would be the setting for the final chapter of the Kansas City Wizards' storybook season, a fitting and thrilling conclusion to Major League Soccer's fifth season. 12 teams spent 8 months battling for the right to play on this day, a quest which wrote the story of MLS 2000. Welcome to the story of MLS 2000. I'm your host, Rob Stone. You know, much of the buzz generated around the league's fifth season had to do with arguably the best crop of foreign talent to ever grace Major League Soccer. The two names that most came to mind were Bulgarian maestro Hristo Stoichkov and German legend Lothar Matthäus. Both former World Players of the Year would lead their respective clubs deep into the MLS Cup playoff hunt. Rule changes would also play a significant role in MLS 2000. In an effort to bring MLS closer to the soccer community and the international laws of the game, the league did away with the controversial shootout. In its place, 2 sudden-death overtime periods were added, thereby ushering in the age of golden goals. For the first time in MLS history, ties became a possibility and referees kept the clock on the field. Additionally, the league was separated into 3 divisions, which created a brand new playoff format. The 3 divisional winners were guaranteed postseason spots, but the final 5 wild card playoff berths would be determined by the total number of regular season points, regardless of division. Now that we have the technical jargon out of the way, let's get to the games. The season opened up March 18th to an offensive explosion. The Tampa Bay Mutiny recorded the year's first rout as they humbled the visiting Columbus Crew. The Mutiny's Raul Diaz-Arce and Steve Ralston both tallied twice as the Bay City rolled 5-1. Meanwhile, across the Sunshine State, the Miami Fusion and New England Revolution were making history. The Revs' Ahmad Baba and the Fusion's Diego Serna each found net as the two sides recorded the first regular season draw in league history. In Dallas, Hristo Stoichkov was serving notice to the league. The new Chicago Fire striker debuted with a 2-goal performance, with the Burns' Ariel Graziani matched him goal for goal as Dallas went on to the 4-2 victory. The following weekend was highlighted by a rematch of MLS Cup 99 as the defending champs, DC United, hosted the Los Angeles Galaxy. Unfortunately for the Red and Black, this one would be a microcosm of their season to be. LA was dominant from start to finish. All-star Kobe Jones scored twice, and rookie Sasha Victorine contributed a goal and 2 assists as LA went to 2-0 on the young season. The lone bright spot for United was American Bobby Convey, who entered the game late, becoming at age 16 the youngest player in MLS history. More history was created that same weekend, this time in Columbus, Ohio. With the San Jose Earthquakes and the Crew knotted at ones in overtime, the man they called the Polish Rifle was taking aim at a league landmark. Robert Marzika's game-winning finish marked Major League Soccer's first regular season golden goal. That Marzika strike exactly why the league brought in the golden goal rule, the first of many golden goals to find net in MLS 2000. Now, if you go back to 1999, in April of that year, Kansas City was basically already out of the playoff picture. In 2000, April was the month the Wizards set the tone for their league-wide dominance. It began with a 3-0 win over Colorado. The league's player of the month, new import Danish dynamite Miklos Molnar, scored for the second straight game, igniting the Wizards to a 3-0 win. That would be the first of 5 shutouts recorded by keeper Tony Meola that month alone. The Wizards bolted to a league-best 6-0-1 mark. Already, they were just 2 wins shy of their 99 total. Hristo Stoichkov continued to pay dividends for Chicago. On a wet night in D.C., he cracked home one of the finalists for Goal of the Year. But the Fire would be doused by 2 late-game tallies. In stoppage time, Bolivian Jaime Moreno. Then American international Ben Olsen would find net as the defending champs won their first of the campaign. They would win just 7 more all season. In Tampa Bay, the Mutiny were concerned about finding a forward who could finish Steve Ralston and Carlos Valderrama's setup work. A young striker from Senegal, Mamadou Diallo, won that job with a 2-goal outing versus Colorado. It was the first of 8 multi-goal games for the man who came to be known as Big Mama. 2 of the season's most spectacular goals were run up in the second month. LA's Mauricio Cienfuegos got on his bike for this acrobatic finish versus the Revolution. Yet it was overshadowed by a strike that will forever live in MLS lore.
Litwar able to get a cross off. Balboa with the bike. Oh my! That's got to be the goal of the year. We'll call it now.
Colorado's Marcelo Balboa, who had suffered a mild concussion earlier in the match, went up and hammered home the Anders Limpar service. The bicycle kick conversion not only had the Columbus fans cheering, it was also tabbed as MasterCard Goal of the Year. No recount needed in that vote. Balboa's strike clearly the MLS Goal of the Year. Now, May was the month of movement in MLS, and no motion was greater than the arrival of Luis Hernandez. The all-time leading goal scorer in Mexican national team history joined the LA Galaxy and made his mark on MLS immediately. Over 40,000 were on hand at the Rose Bowl to see him make his debut, and he electrified the crowd by playing a role in both goals of their 2-1 victory versus DC United. Hernandez's arrival, though, set off a series of LA departures. The league's mandated dispersal draft sent Joey Franchino to New England, and offensive utility man Clint Mathis to the Metro Stars. Metro's head coach Octavio Zambrano continued to rebuild the franchise around some of his former LA players, as Steve Jolly and Costa Rican Roy Myers also went from the West Coast to the Meadowlands. The moves paid off for the Metros as they went 3-1 in the month. Clint Mathis thrived in his new digs and quickly won over the New York faithful. The team showed newfound feistiness to go along with their winning ways. That attitude was prominently displayed in their 4-1 home win over Chicago at the end of the month. DC also made a May deal as they reacquired Salvadoran striker Raul Diaz Arce. The second highest scorer in league history failed to revitalize the stagnant United offense as he chipped in just 5 goals in 16 outings for the Black and Red. The first and only coaching casualty of the season took place in South Florida as the Fusion replaced Ivo Wortman with colorful Ray Hudson. And when I say colorful, I mean it. His previous job was color commentator for the Fusion television broadcast.
Fusion lately, their attack has been about as dangerous as my grandmother knitting a quilt.
The charismatic and energetic Englishman led Miami to 3 straight W's, as Miami concluded the month in 2nd place in the Eastern Division. The team they trailed, New England, made some moves in May as well. Gone was longtime captain Mike Burns and Dan Couchman. In was defender Mauricio Wright from San Jose. Their 4-win month was highlighted by a free kick explosion at DC, a resourceful road victory in Chicago, and a home win over the previously unbeaten Galaxy. First-year coach Fernando Clavillo had his troops marching in the right direction. Chicago's Ante Razov was the dominant offensive player of May, twice winning Player of the Week awards. His 3-goal outburst versus the Fusion was the first in Fire history.
Whitfield now, his service, back post, Razov scores! Here's Marsh, going straight at goal, and another, the hat trick for Ante Razov!
For the 3rd straight season, the American would lead Chicago in scoring, and his 18 goals would be 2nd most in MLS 2000. While Razov was scoring, Miola was denying. The Kansas City keeper anchored the best defense in the league for the undefeated Wizards. The player of the month allowed just 1 goal in 5 May outings. With Miola pitching shutouts and Molnar still scoring at a regular clip, including another bicycle goal in MLS. The Wizards found themselves as the only unbeaten team left in the league at the end of May. Miola's goaltending wizardry continued into June when his shutout streak reached 6 straight games. KC's opponents were held scoreless for a league record 681 consecutive minutes. And on the 24th of June, Miola posted his regular season league record 12th shutout, even though half the season was still left. Although Miola was magnificent, he would be the first to tell you that much of the credit had to go to Bob Gansler's revamped defensive makeup. Matt McCune and Kerry Zavagnin shut down the midfield opposition, while the back line of Brandon Trudeau, Rookie of the Year runner-up Nick Garcia, and Vic Defender of the Year Peter Vermes shut down anything that came their way. Fellow Western Conference rival San Jose was enjoying their best month of the season, and the main reason can be summed up in 3 words: home field advantage. The Quakes went a league record 15 games at Spartan Stadium without a defeat. That streak was in jeopardy in early June when the Rapids had a late 2-1 lead, but goals by Abdul Thompson Conte, Dario Bros, Iranian international Hodadad Azizi, all in the final 5 minutes, stunned Colorado and kept the Quake streak intact. Not so lucky were the Columbus crew and their talented but hard-luck forward Brian McBride. This collision fractured his cheekbone, forcing him out of action until the All-Star game in late July. The Black and Gold would win just once in June, yet they were still in position for a postseason spot. The Metro Stars began July tied with New England for the Eastern lead. When the month was over, they had built a 9-point cushion courtesy of a 5-0 July. Clint Mathis continued his torrid scoring pace, elevating himself into the league MVP race. Keeper Mike Amon shut out the opposition 3 times, while the Colombian connection of Adolfo Valencia and Alex Comas continued to convert their chances. When you think about 4th of July, most of the thoughts that are conjured up include fireworks, picnics, hot dogs. For MLS fans, July 4th means serious soccer. Over 53,000 fans in Denver witnessed the Rapids' most thrilling comeback ever. Down 1-0 to Chicago, veteran midfielder Anders Limpar found net in the final minute to send it to overtime. As the second sudden death wound down, Limpar served a free kick far post where Marcelo Balboa banged in the game winner, setting off fireworks in Mile High country.
Balboa scores! Colorado wins!
Dallas began July in last place in the Central Division, but they changed that tone early with a convincing home win over LA. Arguably the league's top-scoring tandem, Mario Graziani and Jason Price, laid waste to the Galaxy. Graziani netted 2, while Price, the league's 1999 Honda Most Valuable Player, contributed a goal and 2 assists. Despite the 4-2 defeat, LA did receive some much-needed good news, as Luis Hernandez finally registered his first MLS goal. Despite some lightning-induced delays, world-class denials, and general bad luck in July, the Mutiny found themselves on top of the Central. While Big Mama was continuing to put up big numbers, it was his assist man, Carlos Valderrama, that would steal the headlines. In Tampa's 2-0 win over the Galaxy, El Pibe would record his 20th assist, setting a new MLS single-season assist record. He would finish the year with a staggering 26. Just as unimpressive were the results garnered by DC United. Own goals, poor starts, and injuries wreaked havoc on the defending champs. Even when they were dominating and winning, they found ways to lose points, like when Colorado's Matt Oko scored this stoppage time goal in DC to force a tie.
Score! Colorado has tied it!
The Earthquake's Joe Cannon sent shockwaves through the league with an unreal streak of net mining. First, he shut out the league-leading Wizards. Then 4 days later, in Colorado, he set a club record with 12 saves. His second consecutive clean sheet earned him Player of the Week honors. Cannon concluded the season with 7 shutouts and 137 saves, second most in MLS. His efforts helped keep San Jose in postseason contention. Columbus had a strong July on 2 levels. First off, forward Dante Washington, acquired from Dallas in a draft day deal, scored 5 times in 6 outings. His exploits earned him Player of the Month honors, while also helping the crew get back into the playoff hunt. Secondly, the city hosted the best talents in the league for the MLS All-Star Game. A standing room crowd at the soccer-specific Crew Stadium witnessed the highest-scoring All-Star Game ever. In the first half, the West scored early and often. LA's Kobe Jones contributed 4 assists, while stars like Ante Razov, Mauricio Cienfuegos, and Peter Novak all found net. The West held on to a 4-3 lead at the break, but the East exploded for an all-star record 6 second-half goals. Tampa Bay's Carlos Valderrama served up 4 assists, while his mutiny mate Mamadou Diallo tied an all-star record with 5 points en route to claiming MVP honor.
The right side, oh, what a nifty move. He's going to load again. Tips it around, and he can walk it home. Big Mamba!
Tampa keeper Scott Garlick shut out the West in the second half with 7 spectacular saves as the East won the 2000 All-Star game 9-4.
Why I'm the big mama? Because I make the control all the field. I make the control all the goal. That's why I'm Big Mama. Thank you for everybody.
It's the Big Mama Show here in Columbus. A great weekend of soccer activities capped off by arguably the best MLS soundbite of the year, courtesy of Big Mama. With the second half of the season ready to kick off, here is how the standings shaped up. The Eastern Division was a complete flip-flop from the '99 campaign. The Metro Stars were in first with New England in second. The defending champs from D.C. had the fewest points in the league. Only 7 points separated the top from the bottom in the ultra-competitive Central. Tampa Bay and Chicago would continue to battle for the top spot all season. The Western Conference was basically a 2-horse race. While Kansas City and Los Angeles were running away from the pack, they were running right into each other in August. On the 5th, the Wizards, the best home team in MLS, hosted a motivated and offensive-minded LA side. Mauricio Cienfuegos found the net twice and chipped in an assist, while Luis Hernandez added a goal and 2 assists, as KC was dealt their worst defeat of the campaign, 5-1. The following Saturday, the two would meet up again in an emotional, physical match. Kansas City's Matt McCune received a red card in the 40th minute, but the vaunted Wizard D bunkered down to earn a valuable road draw. The Galaxy would drop just 1 of 6 matches in August, and as the month concluded, they found themselves tied atop the West with Kansas City. In the East, New England's playoff hopes were being carried by Jamaican striker Waldy Harris. Acquired from Colorado in the offseason, Harris scored in 7 straight outings, tying Raul Diaz Arce's league record for most consecutive games with a goal. A late finish versus Columbus earned the Revs a draw, and 3 weeks later, he again haunted the crew. This conversion tied Diaz Arce's mark, and with the game winner to boot. At the end of the month, New England was firmly entrenched in second place in the Eastern Division and on their way to just their second ever MLS postseason. The team ahead of them in the East was sporting an equally hot finisher. The Metro Stars' Clint Mathis was named the league's Player of the Month for the second time in 2000. He paced the Metros with 7 goals and 5 assists in August, moving up into second in the MLS scoring race. Later in the month in Dallas, Mathis would put up some Texas-sized numbers. The Conyers, Georgia native could do no wrong as he found net early and often in a 6-4 win over the Burn. The Metro striker set league records with 5 goals and 10 points in 1 game. The outing was extra special for Mathis and his mates as the victory clinched the Metro Stars' first Eastern Division crown.
I just think that one game, for myself, really emulated of how the season's been for me. I mean, the team has really just worked hard, and I've just been, fortunate enough to be able to get on the end of some of the stuff.
Not all was well, though, in the Metro Stars camp. Keeper Mike Ahmed, who was in the midst of his finest campaign as a pro, had his regular season come to an abrupt halt as a result of this collision with Tampa Bay's 6'2", 195-pound Mamadou Diallo. No foul was called on the play, but the damage had been done. 2 fractured ribs and a punctured lung forced Ahmed to spend several nights in a Tampa hospital. Doctors said he was out 8 to 12 weeks or the remainder of the MLS season. Diallo would complete the game with the hat trick, including the golden goal winner for the Mutiny.
And there's Diallo! Victory goes to Tampa Bay. It's the Diallo hat trick.
10 days later, Central leading Tampa Bay had another huge home outing. The Chicago Fire came to town, and with a Fire victory, they would be tied with the Mutiny atop the Central. Tampa, as had become the norm in 2000, found no problem scoring, but defending late leads had become a major issue. Chicago, who finished the regular season with a league-high 67 goals, preyed on the Mutiny's late-game defensive breakdowns. down 3-1 in the 73rd minute. Polish international Peter Novak pulled the Fire within one. 15 minutes later, Risto Stoichkov did what he does best, find net. Despite playing in just 18 games due to injuries, the Bulgarian finished with 9 goals and 25 points, good for a tie for 17th in MLS scoring. Despite the 3-3 draw, the Mutiny still had a 3-point cushion over the Fire. 4 days later, Tampa Bay solidified their playoff aspirations while crushing Columbus's. The Crew, at home and in a must-win situation, had forged a 3-1 lead. But 3 unanswered goals and a Diallo hat trick later, Columbus's postseason fire was all but extinguished. The Mutiny had fought back to earn a crucial 4-3 victory. With 2 games left, Big Mama had now scored 26 times, one shy of Roy Lassiter's MLS record for most goals in a season. While Diallo was chasing MLS records, 2 players captured them in August. One of Mamadou's chief setup men, American Steve Ralston, became the league's Iron Man. The 1996 Rookie of the Year became MLS's first player to eclipse 13,000 minutes played. Ralston concluded the season with 17 assists, second in MLS only to Tampa teammate Carlos Valderrama. Kansas City's Preki became the first 50-goal, 50-assist man in league history. The vet scored his 50th career goal versus Colorado August 26th. Couple that with his 69 career assists, and Preki is third on the all-time MLS regular season scoring charts with 169 points.
Obviously, without support of my teammates, there's no way I can achieve any of those goals and assists. And I would love to thank all of them who played with me in Kansas City through my 5 years here.
September would be one of the most compelling months in league history as 5 of the 8 playoff spots were still up for grabs. Not in contention for a postseason berth were the San Jose Earthquakes and the defending champs from D.C. Both sides were mathematically eliminated weeks ago. Ray Hudson's enthusiasm, coupled with the Fusion's renewed vigor, had Miami on the playoff prowl. Midfielder Martin Machon registered an assist in 8 straight games to set an MLS record. Player of the month, Colombian Diego Serna went on a tear, registering 8 goals and an assist in the club's final 3 games. Hat-trick in wins over New York and D.C. were not enough, though, as Miami fell 2 points shy of the final playoff spot. Columbus went in the can in September, dropping all 3 of their outings. For the first time in league history, the Crew would not be a playoff participant. Unlike Columbus, the Burn kept their perfect playoff attendance. Dallas won just 3 times on the road in 2000, one of them courtesy of Jorge Rodriguez's 4th goal of the season, which stunned the Galaxy. The 1-0 win clinched Dallas's 5th straight playoff appearance. 3 nights later, in their final regular season contest, Chad Deering's dramatic stoppage time netter versus San Jose elevated the Burn into the 6th playoff seed. Colorado was besieged with injuries all season, yet they still found themselves in position to secure a ticket to the postseason. Having just 1 win in their previous 6 outings, the Rapids found themselves in a must-win situation on the season's final weekend. Their opposition, the LA Galaxy, had already clinched a postseason spot, but a win in Denver would boost their playoff positioning. It was scoreless in the 7th minute of the first sudden death overtime when veteran striker Paul Bravo chipped Kevin Hartman. His 7th of the year was not only the game winner, but also a playoff clincher. Tampa Bay hosted league-leading Kansas City on the final day. Tampa was looking to win the Central, while KC was hoping to wrap up the #1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Big Mama was shut down by the league's stingiest defense and concluded the season with a league-high 26 finishes, one shy of the MLS record for most in a regular season. Miklos Molnar's team-best 12th goal in the 66th minute was the equalizer as the Wizards concluded the regular season as the #1 seed. Meanwhile, Chicago was stoking their fire. Despite numerous injuries and national team call-ups, head coach Bob Bradley had his club playing their best ball all year. They finished the regular season scoring 17 times during an unbeaten 6-game run, good enough to secure the 2nd seed in the playoffs. Veteran leaders Stoichkov, Novak, and Kubik were in and out all year, so it was left to some young American guns to spark the fire.
Ante Razov led the team in scoring for the third straight year. Josh Wolf and Evan Whitfield, both members of the fourth-place U.S. Olympic side, turned in stellar years. Kellogg's Rookie of the Year, Carlos Bocanegra, was a mainstay in the back, while 17-year-old Mitty DeMarcus Beasley won a starting spot midway through the season.
Holy cow. He's got a man back post, an empty net.
We're very lucky that we have always had a good balance on our team between experienced players that work very, very hard to help the younger players develop. And it seems like both sides have the ability to push one another.
The Metro Stars had already wrapped up their third playoff berth in the club's history. The 2000 edition of the Metros pulled off one of the greatest turnarounds in the game. The worst MLS team in 1999 set team records in the new millennium with 17 wins, 54 points, and 64 goals scored.
The final MLS regular season standings had the three divisional winners, Kansas City, Chicago, and the Metro Stars, respectively occupying spots 1 through 3 in the brand new playoff format.
The next 5 teams were all ranked according to their point totals, regardless of division. The playoff brackets had the top 2 seeds, KC and Chicago, on opposite sides so that they could only meet at MLS Cup 2000. The Wizards, as the 1 seed, hosted 8th seed Colorado in a best-of-3 quarterfinal matchup. KC, which owned Colorado in the regular season, opened up Game 1 with a quick strike. Brecky Service was headed home by Danish dynamite Miklos Molnar for the 1-0 lead. From there, the league's top netliner, Tony Miola, shut down the rapid attack. In stoppage time, Junior Gogo headed down an equalizing effort, but Miola saved it on the goal line to ensure his first career postseason clean sheet and the KC win. Game 2 in Colorado was another Miola shutout, but the Rapids' David Kramer did the same. The 0-0 draw forced a Game 3 back in KC. The Wizards needed just a tie to reach the semis, yet they were focused on a win. A defensive misplay by Jason Bent in the 11th minute was all Chris Henderson needed to put the home side up 1-0. In the 65th minute, Chris Klein's cross was won by Molnar, and his shaved head did the rest. 4 minutes later, the onslaught continued. Kerry Zabagny to Francisco Gomez, and it was 3-0 Wizards. Colorado would get 2 back in the final 24 minutes, but it was not enough, as Kansas City advanced to the semifinals for the first time in 3 years. Their opposition would be the winner of the Galaxy Mutiny Series.
Los Angeles stole Game 1 of that series on the road, as Greg Vandy's penalty kick finish was the only ball to find nets all night. The LA defense was able to put the clamps on 2000 Budweiser scoring champ Mamadou Diallo and the rest of the Mutiny offense to preserve the 1-0 win.
There was no shortage of offense when the series shifted to LA for Game 2. Mexican star Luis Hernandez broke open a tight game early in the second half. With the 2-1 Galaxy, El Matador finished off the Mauricio Cienfuegos assist to make it a 2-goal advantage. 3 minutes later, Hernandez turned provider as he set up Cienfuegos to build the Galaxy lead to 4-1. The league's leading scorer, Tampa Bay's Mamadou Diallo, put in his second of the night to make it a 2-goal affair, but the LA offense had a response. Hernandez, with his second assist in the game, fed Kobe Jones with the 5th ball past Mutiny keeper Scott Garlick.
Here comes Kobe Jones off the Hernandez pass, and he buries it past Scott Garlick, and that should finish off the Tampa Bay Mutiny.
Los Angeles was off to their 4th MLS semifinal series in their 5-year history. On the other side of the playoff bracket, the number 2 seeded Fire took on the Revolution. The Revs, on the road, took a 1-0 lead early in the first half of Game 1, courtesy of their leading scorer, Waldy Harris. 4 minutes later, though, New England gave one back, literally. Rev defender Mauricio Wright put the own goal past Jeff Causey to make it 1-1. The Fire finished off New England, courtesy of some effective ball movement. Ante Razov to Risto Stoichkov, who one-touched it opposite field to Dima Kovalenko. The Indiana University product pumped in his first of the postseason to give Chicago the win and the series advantage. 4 days later, New England responded with one of their best outings all season. Eric Winalda, acquired mid-season from Miami, put in his first finish as a Rev for the early 1-0 lead.
Eric Winalda with his debut goal for the Revolution!
Chicago had a golden chance to equalize right before the break as Stoichkov stepped up for a penalty kick. Red keeper Jeff Causey, who allowed only one of 6 PK opportunities to pass him in 2000, came up big to preserve the lead. Dima Kovalenko continued to be the scoring option for the Fire in the second half as his effort from 14 yards out tied it at 2s with less than 7 minutes left. But less than 3 minutes later, the Revs' Mauricio Wright would redeem his Game 1 own goal. The bending free kick headed home by the Costa Rican as the Revolution won their first ever playoff game and forced a winner-take-all Game 3 back in Chicago. The Fire received some extra incentive and assistance in Game 3 as standout defensive midfielder Chris Armas returned to the starting lineup for the first time since injuring his knee in early August. They didn't need him. The Fire's offense scorched the Revolution from the get-go. DeMarcus Beasley's feed was hit home by Ante Razov for the 1-0 lead in just the 5th minute. From there, Risto Stoichkov took over. Dima Kovalenko set it up, and the Bulgarian finished it for a 2-0 advantage. 2 minutes later, Stoichkov showed his speed, beating John Hartz down the left side. One-on-one with keeper Jeff Causey, and Risto went 5-hole for the 3-0 lead. Razov would add another in the second half, courtesy of Stoichkov. Combined, those two accounted for 4 goals and 7 assists as the Fire rolled 6-0 to advance to the semis. The Metro's faithful were out in force for Game 1 of their series, and their leading scorer did not disappoint them. Clint Mathis, who finished second in the overall scoring race, put the home side up 1-0 in the 34th minute. With starting netminder Mike Amon out due to injury and backup Tim Howard with the U.S. Olympic team, third-string keeper Paul Grafer had to play big for the Metros. No save was larger for Grafer than his penalty kick denial of Oscar Pereira, which maintained the 1-0 lead. But Grafer could not stop Bobby Ryan in the 67th minute. The finish to the upper left corner pulled the burn even. The score remained at 1 deep into overtime, just seconds away from earning a huge road tie when the Metros doused the burn. Adolfo Valencia's 100th minute winner past Matt Jordan ignited the Metrolands crowd and put the Metro Stars just 1 win away from their first semifinal berth.
Game 2 was in Dallas's Cotton Bowl, the scene of Clint Mathis's record-setting 5-goal outburst in late August.
Mathis didn't go for 5 this night, but 2 would do. His volley off the Roy Myers service, his second goal of the postseason, gave the Metro Stars all they needed. In the 80th minute, Mathis sealed the deal with his rebound conversion. The Metros had swept Dallas for their first playoff series win in club history. They would take on the Fire to determine who would be in D.C. on October 15th for MLS Cup 2000.
KC and LA split their 4 regular season contests, so this semifinal series figured to be tight. Game 1 was just that. Keeper Kevin Hartman stole the show and a point for the Galaxy. 18th minute, KC's Chris Henderson tries to sneak one near post. Hartman is there. Preki with a 72-mile-per-hour bullet. Hartman is there to deflect it off the crossbar. Matt McEwen's snap header did get past Hartman, but not the post. 8 saves for Hartman earned the shutout and the 0-0 road draw. Just like their series with Tampa, once the Galaxy got home, they were able to find the net early. Game 2 saw LA go up in the 16th minute. Toby Jones and Ezra Henderson worked the give and go as Toby put home his second of the playoffs for a 1-0 lead. 13 minutes later, KC would respond with a stunning strike off the quick restart. Matt McEwen unleashed a wicked rising shot from 30 out that went upper 90 to tie it up at once. It stayed that way until the 3rd minute of sudden death overtime. U.S. Olympian Danny Caleb.
The outswinger, the header, that's the goal!
Game 3 was back in KC, but all the Galaxy needed was a tie to advance to their 3rd MLS Cup game. The Wizards, needing a win to force a 20-minute sudden death series overtime, attacked at the opening whistle. In the 22nd minute, LA's hero of Game 2, Danny Caleb, pulled a reversal of fortune as he was whistled for this foul on Chris Henderson in the box. Miklos Molnar's penalty kick just eluded Hartman for KC's first PK goal all year and a crucial 1-0 lead. From there, Tony Meola and the league's best backline made the 1-goal advantage stand up. With the Wizard win, the 2 teams were tied at 4 points, which necessitated a series tiebreaker overtime. 6 minutes into the sudden death stanza, KC captain Mo Johnson headed a weak clearance to Molnar. Danish Dynamite beat Hartman to the ball, and from a sharp angle, he finished the Galaxy season. Another game winner from Miklos Molnar, combined with the suffocating Wizard defense, had propelled Kansas City to their first MLS Cup appearance.
Now to the other semifinal series, which pitted the number 2 seed Chicago Fire versus the 3rd seeded Metro Stars.
The Barn Burners were treated to another dominating performance by Chicago. Zach Thornton, solid in the nets, here denying a Clint Mathis effort. On the offensive side, it was Stoichkov getting things started. Dima Kovalenko down the right wing, and his drive worked its way through a series of Metro Star defenders right to Stoichkov, his 3rd of the postseason, 1-0 Fire. 14 minutes later, Kovalenko turned finisher. He put home the deflection from 10 yards out for his 3rd of the playoffs and a 2-0 Fire advantage. The Stars almost pulled to within 1 in the second half, but Mike Petke's header was cleared off the line by Chris Armas. Chicago went up 3-0, 6 minutes from time. Teenager DeMarcus Beasley dribbled around Paul Grafer and fed Ante Razov for the easy tap-in. The Stars had been charred, but they had a surprise to unleash on the Fire in Game 2. Out since August as a result of his collision with Mamadou Diallo, Metro Stars starting keeper Mike Amon made a dramatic return between the pipes. His presence provided much-needed inspiration for the Eastern Division champs. The Metro Stars lit the scoreboard first. Mark Chung's initial volley blocked, but his rebound effort found nothing but net.
Goal! Mark Chung! And the Metro Stars lead!
The far post hammer past Zach Thornton made it 1-0 for the home team. Amon was not tested much, yet he was more than up to the few Chicago challenges. In the 77th minute, he denied Ante Razov's effort. Then moments later, Stoichkov was refused an equalizer with an acrobatic stop. 6 minutes from time, Clint Mathis threaded a sweet ball to Adolfo Valencia, and the big Colombian put it far post for the 2-0 win. Amon had just 3 saves, but his emotional return forced a decisive Game 3 back in Chicago. A chilly night in Chi-Town was the setting for what all Game 3 should strive to be like. In just the 3rd minute, Fire defender C.J. Brown knocked in a Stoichkov corner to put the home side up 1-0. Later in the first half, Stoichkov made it 2-0 with an epic strike.
Whacks one! Oh, it's a goal, baby!
Metro Stars did not roll over. A minute later, defender Mike Petke drove deep and played a square ball to Valencia. His effort trickled by Thornton, and we had a 1-goal game. 4 minutes after that, it was Valencia again. Confusion in the Fire box until the Colombian brought order with his 2nd goal upstairs. And just like that, we were tied at 2s at the break. The second half was a physical affair with brief moments of offensive opportunity for both sides. All that changed in the 88th minute. Chris Armas collected the clearance and sent the ball upfield to Razov, who had just beaten the offside trap. The UCLA grad slid home the winner past Amon, and the team from the 2nd city was off to their 2nd MLS Cup game in their brief 3-year history.
It was a title game destined to happen. The number 1 seed Kansas City Wizards and their league-leading defense versus the top offense in Major League Soccer, courtesy of the number 2 seed Chicago Fire. October 15th in our nation's capital had all the elements for a historic day of soccer. We begin our coverage pregame in the Chicago Fire locker room.
Look, just a couple of last reminders, okay? From the start, okay? Let's get Peter involved, get Christo involved, get balls to their feet, okay? And everybody's moving, so we got a place to play, all right? Second, as soon as the ball's kicked off, good concentration, get after the ball, be the aggressive team from the start, okay? And we play our game, all right? And last, look, what it's all about is being champions. Today, it's going to be us, all right? Come on.
Come on, boys. Come on.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Hey, all season we practice winning, right? From preseason to new, and we've always had to share it with owners and everybody. Today is just about us. We're the only guys that can do something about today, and we're going to reap all the benefits of today. Right? It's about us. It's about the guys that wear the blue jersey every single day. Right? We come in here even or ahead at halftime like we've done for 32 games.
Fellas, 39th game, I mean, but we've done a routine all the way up to this point. We keep on that same track, and we can do whatever we want to do, as long as we go out there and execute the way we want to. Play with confidence. We're the team right now. Let's make sure that we take advantage of this opportunity.
You guys know what it means.
Let's do this, fellas.
Ready? On three. 1, 2, 3.
Come on, guys. Come on. Hey.
Blue sky, unseasonable warmth, and a festive crowd on hand to witness the battle for MLS's top prize, the Allen I. Rothenberg Trophy. From the start, the action was fierce, quick, and skillful. The first break came in the 11th minute. KC's Chris Klein stole the ball at midfield from Diego Gutierrez and stormed down the right side.
Klein now goes right past Armas. They got him in numbers. It's a 4-on-4 as Klein breaks forward. Klein throws it across all the way for Molnar. Tries to tip it on. He scores! Miklos Molnar!
His cross was not handled by Jesse Mars, and Miklos Molnar pounced on the opportunity and slid the goal past Thornton. His fifth of the playoffs made it 1-0 Kansas City. 3 minutes later, Preki almost doubled the score with this lefty rocket.
Brings it across from Preki, who's deadly with the left. Preki moving on, Armas splits the D. Preki's shot goes over the top.
Late in the first, Chicago's Risto Stoichkov almost broke the Wizards' spell, but the effort clanged off the left post.
Oh, Stoichkov moved the goal back with that.
KC had maintained their lead into the locker room.
The other two guys. But the main defensive thing that we have to do is we got to squeeze there in the middle. Huh? So it's got to be Hendy in, it's got to be Preki in. This is where they're playing a little bit of carousel on us, right? So we've got to squeeze and we've got to track. For sure, guys. First 15 minutes, they're going to come like banshees out there, right? And we're aware of that, and we'll take care of that, but we're looking to go the other way because there's going to be holes, there's going to be openings, there's going to be possibilities. Remember, guys, the best of us, they can't handle. Let's go.
So, boys, okay? A lot of time. Okay? We win games different ways, and today what it means is keep pushing, and in the second half, you're the team that gets the 2 or the 3 goals. All right? Come on, that's what it takes. Come on.
Down 1 and pressing hard for the equalizer, the Fire were relentless on offense. But KC was unyielding. Wave after wave of Chicago attacks were rebuffed by the well-schooled and focused Wizards. Tony Meola, who the night before was named the league's Honda Most Valuable Player, turned in a performance for the ages. 8 minutes left, and he stoned sub Josh Wolf.
Chips it across the middle. Wolf robbed by Meola. The MVP coming up huge.
7 minutes left, and Dima Kovalenko was turned away.
Morris comes crossfield. Here's Kubik with his first touch in months. All the way through. Kovalenko! Save Meola! Holy smokes!
4 minutes left, and Stoichkov was denied for the final time.
Play on. Advantage to Chicago. Okafor with a high foot. Stoichkov's shot was right at Meola, and that's just bad luck on a sensational volley effort.
Chicago had fired 22 shots, 10 of them on goal, but every time, Meola was there.
Paul Tamburino ends it! The Wizards, last in the West, have won it all!
When the whistle sounded, the 31-year-old Meola had achieved his goal, an MLS Cup championship. His 5th shutout of the playoffs earned him MLS Cup MVP honor and a fabled place in the league's history books. The Wizards, a team that won just 8 games the season before, had reversed their fortunes and were now Major League Soccer's champions. Kansas City's dramatic reversal of fortune capped off a year of unparalleled growth and respect for Major League Soccer. Their young American contingent elevated their roles and expectations. The foreign arrivals of Mateus, Stoichkov, and Hernandez confirmed that the league had earned approval on the international front. New stars emerged, while old ones reappeared. Teams that once were downtrodden issued notice that they had reformed and captured the winning mentality. In the end, though, one team stood above the others, starting the season with a remarkable 12-game unbeaten streak and concluding it with a victory lap at RFK Stadium. The Kansas City Wizards were the best in MLS.